Good morning. How the devil are you doing this Sunday? Me? Well, you'll be pleased to hear I've got my mojo back. It turns out there was nothing actually wrong with me at all. Just needed a bit of a pep talk or three. And it actually was three as it happens. So to those of you that called me up yesterday and set me back on track, you know who you are. Many thanks. I did need that. Now, without further ado, let me post the question of the day, which does actually relate to our final subject of the day. I'll roll the intro and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. It's Wednesday, the 27th of April, and as that remarkably persistent guy just said, welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, AdBlue price hikes add to the industry's fuel misery. Case has joined the Beach Boys. Volvo is taking a stand on CO2 emissions, and we've got an epic tower demolition that will gladden the heart of both demolition men and crane buffs alike. We're also going to be talking about sleep, or the lack thereof. We'll get to all of that in just a second, but first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns to the 18th President of the United States, Ulysses S. Grant. Really aren't enough presidents called Ulysses, are there? Happy birthday also to radio DJ Casey Kasem, to Michael Fish, the weatherman who failed to spot the impending UK hurricane back in 1987, and also to singers Sheena Easton and Misha Paris, to Fall Out Boy singer Patrick Stump, to angry punk rocker Frank Carter, and to the equally angry tennis player Nick Kyrgios. Many happy returns to them, one and all. It's like the gods of demolition and construction have been displeased in some way. We throw that up on the screen. Not content with hitting the sector with fuel shortages, fuel price hikes, and the removal of the red diesel rebate, those gods are now preparing to smite us further with a 170% increase in the cost of AdBlue. Experts are blaming the surge in natural gas prices caused by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Yara, one of Europe's main producers of AdBlue, has been temporarily reducing production of the reagent at its plants in both Italy and France. And economists are now predicting this shortage in supply could lead to a 170% price rise that will place even greater fuel pressure upon an already beleaguered industry sector. I'm preaching to the choir here somewhat, but AdBlue, just so you know, is used to reduce the nitrous oxide emissions of diesel engines and is made of a mixture of urea and deionized water that is sprayed into the exhaust system. Without AdBlue, it's much more difficult to lower the emissions of diesel equipment and vehicles to comply with the latest standards. The concern, of course, is that modern machines and vehicles rely upon AdBlue to keep exhaust emissions in check, and they're also fitted with systems to monitor AdBlue levels. Running low of AdBlue will almost certainly trigger a warning on a machine's dash, which is particularly annoying, but that's only part of the problem. If you run out of AdBlue entirely, a vehicle's performance will likely be impacted as it tries to reduce its emissions output by going into limp mode, reducing the speed at which you can drive or operate. The other concern, of course, is if this shortage of supply makes the national news, then every Karen in the country will be rushing out and buying up all the remaining stocks before flogging them on eBay. We can talk about all of that in the after show chat if you so desire.
The Miller GT series heralds a new era of unrivaled power and cutting-edge intelligent coupler technology, increasing job site safety, machine versatility and productivity.
It's that time of year when we all start to look at ourselves in the mirror and regret the overly indulgent Christmas that has buried our beach bodies under a thick layer of what I prefer to call insulation. The holiday season is fast approaching and we will soon be packing our buckets, spades and questionable swimwear and heading for the beach. And I think we'll all be hoping that a Case machine was on that beach just before we got there. thinking that there's surely scope for the use of a screening bucket in that application? MB Crusher, Alu, Remu, are you watching?
Axoft and Svantec are your high-end partners for noise, vibration, dust and air quality systems, sensors and software. To find out more, visit axoft.co.uk or call 01234 639 550.
Not content with pioneering electric and autonomous machines, being the first to make a machine from fossil-free steel, and committing to hydrogen machine development, Volvo has now set out its plans on how it expects to reduce CO2 emissions for itself and its customers even further.
Our industry is changing. Like us, many of you are determined to reduce your carbon emissions and build a better world. By working together, we have an opportunity to really make a difference. Whether you have a plan in place or are working out how to get started, we can be a valuable partner. At Volvo Construction Equipment, we continue to develop powerful, industry-leading solutions towards a carbon-free future. Wherever you are on that journey, we can help you find the right products and services. We understand that every business is different, so we take time to analyze the way you work, set goals, and keep you on target. Every step on the path to net zero is important. Don't wait for the future. Take the first step with us today.
I have no idea who Volvo has in charge of their innovation at the moment, but they deserve a medal and quite possibly a pay rise as well. I had a long chat with Tristan Mays of Crane Hub yesterday. I've got a lot of time for Tristan. He's like the crane sector's answer to Nick Drew, who incidentally has just popped up in the chat. Morning, Nick. Tristan is an experienced operator who has now brought his experience and expertise into the field of journalism and online video. Now, under normal circumstances, Tristan works over there in the sphere of cranes, and I work over here in the field of demolition. And generally, never the twain shall meet. But the film I'm about to show you would be as suitable for Crane Hub as it is for this show. Take a look at this. If you like cranes, be sure to check out Crane Hub. Just search for cranehub.net and you can tell Tristan that I sent you. Insomniacs of the world, rejoice. We're about to talk about that precious yet often elusive thing, sleep. If you were here yesterday and on last Friday and on Saturday, you will know that I've been banging on about how a lack of sleep might be impairing the productivity and, more importantly, safety of those within this industry. I promised that I'd do a bit more research into the subject of sleep and sleep deprivation, but it turns out I didn't need to look that far. In fact, all the answers I needed were actually right here on my computer. Back in 2019, I interviewed a guy at Caterpillar called Mitch Cowart. We spoke at some length about the impact that sleep deprivation can have upon a machine operator and about what Caterpillar is doing to combat that. So yesterday afternoon, I dug that out, re-edited it, repackaged it, and I'm about to play you an extract. While you're listening to this, I'm going to add a link to the full 27-minute video. And it's 27 minutes long because there's a lot of detail, but also, if you are one of those that suffers from insomnia, maybe 27 minutes of me banging on about the subject of sleep might just send you off into the land of nod. So check this out.
If there was a third end to the candle, they would burn that end too. You know, insomnia, some form of sleep loss, was costing the average worker about 11 days per year in lost productivity. We're losing about $63 billion a year due to chronic sleep deprivation. The world is now in a catastrophic epidemic of sleep loss. Young haul truck driver who came to work at a phosphate mine in North America, in the state of North Carolina, and he fell asleep during the pre-shift safety meeting. And none of his coworkers and supervisors said anything. They just let him sleep there in the chair during the meeting. When the meeting was over, he woke up and got in his truck and went to work like we're trained to do. But later that morning, he had a lapse in attention and vigilance, and he actually had a minor incident where he brushed side mirrors with an oncoming haul truck, and neither one of them told anybody. And that, of course, was a breach of policy, but nevertheless it happened. And unfortunately, later again that morning, the same operator had a major lapse in alertness and vigilance. He was literally asleep at the wheel, and he drove over a light vehicle, a pickup truck that had a man inside. And it took more than 3 hours to get the man out of the pickup truck. And they fired that haul truck driver for not being fit for duty, but only to learn that the reason why he wasn't fit for duty is not because he'd been up all night in the bars or partying like so many people think is typical. This young man had been in the emergency room with his young wife who had just miscarried their first baby. And he had been enculturated by his dad and his big brothers and his sports coaches to grit his teeth, to get tough and play through the pain. And so that's what he did. He adhered to those cultural norms and attitudes and values and ideals that he had been taught. And he was trying to push through and be tough and be strong. And it nearly cost him, running over and killing a man. So in 24 hours, he nearly killed a man. He lost his baby and he lost his job. And that was tragic for everyone involved. That company called Cat Safety Services, and we wound up working with them. And after learning that fatigue is natural and that it happens to everyone, and that cultural stigmas around shame and weakness are driving behaviors, that company in North Carolina hired back that haul truck driver. And it made a huge message to all the employees that the changes that were taking place at that company were really about their safety and not about any punitive actions. And so that was a powerful example of the kind of catalyst that these disruptive technologies can have on an organization.
If you are one of those that is awake at some ungodly hour in the morning, or who doesn't get sufficient sleep, you will ironically find the full video an eye-opener. And yes, I really wrote that. Incidentally, our font of all wisdom, Mick Norton, has also sent me a link to some HSE resources on the subject of managing fatigue risk. You can find those in the chat right now as well. And this is a subject we're going to carry on after the end of the show.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right. Back to Beardy.
Right, that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around today, then please stay safe. Get lots of sleep, would you please? Look after yourself, your family, your friends and your colleagues. Have a great day and thanks for watching. But if you can stick around, I'll see you on the other side of this when we may or may not be talking about sleep, AdBlue prices, recruitment offers that also include details of a employee helpline, and the fact that I'm going to be on Instagram live at 12 noon today. I'll see you on the other side of this.